Gather round the campfire, friends, and let me tell you about one of the most unsettling mysteries in the entire Red Dead Redemption saga. A mystery so profound, so ambiguous, that even after years of investigation, players still debate its meaning. This is the story of a man who appears without warning, dressed in an elegant black suit and top hat, who knows things he should not know, who cannot be killed, who speaks in riddles and tests the souls of those he encounters. All we know for certain is this: when the strange man appears, death follows. When he speaks, he reveals truths that should be hidden. And most unsettling of all, no matter who you are, no matter where you hide, the strange man knows you. He has always known you. Before we dive into the encounters, let us understand what we're looking at. The strange man's appearance is deliberate, symbolic, carefully chosen. He wears an elegant black suit and top hat, the formal attire of undertakers, lawyers, men of business and authority in the early 1900s. He dresses like someone who deals in serious matters, in contracts and accounts, in the final settling of affairs. The black colour marks him as someone who does not belong to the dusty frontier, someone who comes from somewhere else, somewhere beyond the normal boundaries of life and death. The top hat is particularly significant. In the Victorian era, it symbolised respectability and social standing, but it was also associated with magicians and illusionists, those who made the impossible seem real. The strange man wears it like a gentleman, but he performs impossible feats. He appears and disappears. He survives gunshots. He knows the future. He is both civilized and otherworldly, both respectable and supernatural. His face is neither young nor old, neither kind nor cruel. He looks ordinary, someone you might pass without a second glance. But his eyes are different. They are knowing, ancient, filled with a depth of understanding that no ordinary human could possess. His voice is calm, measured, never raised. He speaks like someone who has all the time in the world, who knows that everything will happen exactly as it is meant to happen. This calmness is unsettling because it suggests absolute confidence, absolute certainty. The strange man is never worried, never concerned, never surprised. The locations where he appears are also significant. Liminal spaces, places that exist between one thing and another. The ridge in New Austin sits between the civilized world and the wilderness. Mexico lies between the United States and the unknown South. Beecher's hope exists between John's outlaw past and his attempt at a civilized future. The swamp cabin at Bayall Edge sits between land and water, between solid ground and liquid. These in-between places are perfect for a being who exists between worlds, between life and death, between the known and the unknown. Now, let us begin with the encounters. The first time most players met the strange man was back in 2010, in the original Red Dead Redemption. While exploring the wilderness of New Austin as John Marston, players could stumble upon a stranger mission chain simply titled, "I Know You." The mission begins on a ridge overlooking the desert, where John encounters this well-dressed man in black who greets him by name. John, understandably confused, asks if they have met before. The strange man's response is chilling. "I hope so. I seem to know you." What follows is a conversation that reveals the strange man knows intimate details about John's past. He mentions Heidi McCourt, the innocent young woman that Dutch van der Linde shot in the head during the Blackwater ferry robbery. He describes her death in graphic detail. Pretty girl, until her eye was hanging out by a thread of tendon and her brain was plastered over a wall. This knowledge is impossible. The Blackwater massacre was chaos. and Heidi McCourt was just one victim among many. Yet the strange man knows her name, knows how she died, knows details that John himself had probably tried to forget. This is not information that could be learned through investigation or rumour. This is knowledge that comes from somewhere else, from someone who sees everything, who knows everything, who exist beyond the normal limits of human understanding. The strange man does not introduce himself. He does not explain how he knows these things. Instead, he tells John that he wishes he had known more about life, that he wishes he had better guidance. Then he gives John a task. A friend of his is drunk in the saloon at Thieves' Landing, and the strange man believes this friend is about to be unfaithful to his wife. He asks John to go there and advise the man to help him make the right choice. But here is where things become interesting. The strange man does not tell John what the right choice is. He does not say whether John should encourage the adultery or prevent it. He simply presents the situation and allows John to decide. This is the first test, and this is crucial to understanding the strange man's nature. He is not interested in forcing John toward good or evil. He is interested in seeing what John will choose when given the freedom to act according to his own moral compass. This is the behavior of someone keeping account, someone building a case, someone gathering evidence for a final judgment. The strange man is like an accountant, and he will later call himself exactly that, recording every choice, every action, every sin and every virtue. The test with the drunk man is specifically chosen. It is about marriage vows, about commitment, about whether John values family and fidelity. This is significant because John himself is married, has a family, has made vows. The strange man is testing whether John's own values are consistent, whether John will uphold in others what he claims to value in his own life. It is a test of hypocrisy, of whether John's principles are real or merely convenient. The second encounter occurs in Mexico, in the region of Nuevo Paraíso. The strange man appears again, commenting on John's actions in the previous test. If John chose the honourable path, the strange man says he admires John and hopes his boy turns out just like him. But then he adds, ominously, "For your sake, I hope he doesn't." This statement is loaded with meaning. The strange man is pointing out that John's life, despite any honourable choices he might make now, is a life of violence and crime. Just for Jack Marston to turn out like his father would mean Jack following the same path, facing the same dangers, likely meeting the same violent end. The strange man is not just commenting on John's character, he is foreshadowing John's fate and warning about the cycle of violence that threatens to claim the next generation. The location of this second encounter is significant. Mexico in Red Dead Redemption represents a kind of moral limbo, a place where the normal rules do not apply, where violence is even more prevalent than in the American frontier, where John is forced to work for men he despises in order to achieve his goals. The strange man appears here because this is where John's moral compromises are most visible, where the contradictions in his character are most apparent. John claims to be trying to leave his outlaw life behind, but here he is in Mexico, killing for revolutionaries and tyrants, doing exactly the kind of work he claims to have abandoned. The strange man sees through these rationalizations. He understands that John is not really changing, not really becoming a better person. John is simply doing what he's always done, using violence to solve problems, killing to achieve his goals. The fact that John is now killing for the government instead of for Dutch van der Linde does not change the fundamental nature of what John is doing. The strange man's tests are designed to reveal whether John has developed any genuine moral principles, or whether he is simply following orders, doing whatever is necessary to get what he wants. Then the strange man points out the contradiction in John's character. You kill people so easily, yet you respect the vows of marriage. That's very curious. This is the heart of the strange man's method. He is not interested in simple judgments of good or evil. He is interested in exposing contradictions, in making people see the truth about themselves. How can a man who kills without hesitation claim to have moral standards about lesser sins? This strange man forces John to confront this hypocrisy. This contradiction is central to John Marston's character. John wants to believe he is a good man, that he has principles, that he is different from the criminals he once rode with. But the strange man reveals the truth. John's principles are selective, convenient, applied inconsistently. John will kill a man without a second thought, but he draws the line at adultery. He will rob and threaten, but he respects marriage vows. Yeah, these contradictions reveal that John's morality is not based on consistent principles, but on arbitrary distinctions, on rules that he follows when they are convenient and ignores when they are not. The strange man's ability to see and expose these contradictions is what makes him so unsettling. We all have contradictions in our moral frameworks, places where our actions do not match our stated values, moments when we apply different standards to ourselves than we apply to others. The strange man sees all of these contradictions, records them, and will eventually use them in his final judgment. He is not fooled by rationalizations or excuses. He sees the truth of who we are, and he holds us accountable for that truth. John, frustrated, says he will let the appropriate authorities judge his morality. The strange man's response is chilling. Yes, you will, and they shall. This is not a reference to earthly courts. The strange man is speaking of a higher authority, a final judgment that awaits John Marston. He's speaking of death, of the reckoning that comes for all men, of the moment when accounts are settled and souls are weighed, and the strange man, as we will learn, is the one who keeps those accounts. This exchange reveals John's fundamental misunderstanding of his situation. John thinks he can defer judgment, can put off the reckoning, can let some distant authority decide his fate, but the strange man is telling him that judgment is not something that can be deferred. It is coming. It is inevitable. And the authorities who will judge John are not the courts or the government. They are forces far more powerful, far more final. The strange man is one of those authorities, and he has already begun his judgment. The strange man then gives John another test involving Mother Superior Calderon, a nun travelling with charity money. John can choose to help her or rob her. This test escalates the moral weight. The first test was about personal sin, adultery. This test is about sin against the vulnerable and the sacred. Will John prey upon the innocent? Will he steal from those who help others? Will he violate the sacred for personal gain? This progression of test reveals the strange man's methodology. He is not testing John randomly. He is systematically exploring different dimensions of John's character, building a comprehensive moral profile. The first test examined John's attitude toward marriage and family. The second test examines John's willingness to harm the innocent and the sacred. Each test adds another data point, another piece of evidence that will be used in the final judgment. The choice of a nun as the subject of the second test is particularly significant. Nuns represent purity, selflessness, dedication to helping others. To rob a nun would be to prey upon someone who has devoted their life to good works. to steal money that is meant to help the poor and suffering. It would be a sin not just against an individual, but against the very concept of charity and compassion. The strange man is testing whether John has any sense of the sacred, any respect for those who dedicate their lives to helping others, any moral boundaries that he will not cross. These tests are not arbitrary. They are specifically designed to reveal different aspects of John's character, to build a complete moral profile. The strange man is methodical, thorough, ensuring that his final judgment will be based on comprehensive evidence rather than isolated incidents. He is giving John opportunities to demonstrate virtues that might balance the violence and crime that define most of his life. Each honourable choice adds a credit to John's moral account. Each dishonourable choice adds another debt. The fact that these tests are optional, that players can choose to ignore them entirely, adds another layer of meaning. The strange man is not forcing John to confront these moral questions. He is offering John the opportunity to demonstrate his character, to show what kind of person he really is. If John ignores these opportunities, if he refuses to engage with a moral test the strange man presents, that too is recorded, that too becomes part of the account. Indifference to moral questions is itself a moral failing, a refusal to take responsibility for one's actions and their consequences. The final encounter occurs at Beecher's Hope, John's ranch, the home he has built for his family. The strange man is standing near the property, admiring the view. When John approaches, the strange man says, "This is a fine spot." John demands to know who this man is, where he knows him from, what his name is. The strange man responds that he is an accountant of sorts. This is the key to understanding everything. An accountant keeps records, tracks debts and credits, ensures that accounts balance. The strange man is keeping account of souls, and tracking the moral debts that people accumulate through their actions, ensuring that when the final reckoning comes, the accounts are accurate and complete. When John presses for his name, the strange man says he cannot remember it, a statement that is either a lie or a profound truth about his nature. Perhaps the strange man has no name because he is not an individual but a force, a concept given form. You cannot name death, you cannot name God, you cannot name karma or judgment or moral law. These are forces that exist beyond names, beyond individual identity. John, at the end of his patience, threatens him. "Tell me your name, or I won't be responsible for my actions." The strange man's response is devastating. "Oh, but you will. Not you will be responsible." This is the core truth that the strange man has been trying to teach John throughout their encounters. Every action has consequences. Every choice matters. Every sin is recorded. Every debt must be paid. John Marston will be held responsible for everything he has done, and no amount of denial or deflection will change that. This is the fundamental principle that the strange man enforces: accountability. You are responsible for who you are and what you do. As the strange man walks away, he says again, "This is a fine spot. See you around, cowboy." John, in frustration and fear, shouts, "Damn you!" The strange man's final words are haunting. Yes, many have. Throughout history, humans have cursed God, have blamed the divine for their suffering, have rejected faith in moments of anger and despair. The strange man's response acknowledges this history. Yes, many have cursed me, many have blamed me for their suffering, many have rejected me, but I remain, I continue my work, and when the time comes, I settle the debts, regardless of whether you accept my authority or curse my name. Then John draws his gun and fires 3 shots at the strange man's back. The bullets appear to do nothing. On the 4th shot, John's gun jams. The strange man disappears. Now here is where the true horror of this encounter becomes clear. The spot where the strange man was standing, the spot he called a fine spot, is the exact location where John Marston, Uncle and Abigail will eventually be buried. The 3 shots that John fired represent the 3 graves that will be dug on this land. The 4th shot, which jammed, represents Jack Marston, John's son, who will survive the events that claim his family. The strange man was not just visiting John, he was marking the site of John's death, measuring the ground where John's body will rest. He was completing his accounting, closing the books on John Marston's life. The accounts are complete, the judgment is coming, the debts will be paid, and the strange man knows exactly where and when this will happen, because he exists outside of time, able to see past, present, and future simultaneously. This is what makes the strange man so terrifying. He does not threaten, he does not attack, he simply observes, records, and marks the spot. He is not causing John's death. John's own choices, his own past, his own enemies will cause that. The strange man is simply the accountant who knows when the final transaction will occur, who marks the spot where the accounts will be settled. John's attempt to shoot the strange man is futile, not just because the strange man cannot be killed, but because you cannot shoot your way out of moral accountability. John has spent his entire life solving problems with violence, but the strange man represents a problem that cannot be solved with violence. You cannot kill death, you cannot kill God, you cannot kill your own conscience. The gun jamming is the universe telling John that this approach will not work, that he must face what is coming without the protection of violence. The symbolism of the gun jamming extends even deeper. Throughout the Red Dead games, the gun is the primary tool for solving problems, for asserting control, for imposing your will on the world. John Marston is defined by his skill with a gun. Given his ability to shoot faster and more accurately than his enemies is what has kept him alive, what has made him valuable to Dutch van der Linde, what has allowed him to survive in a violent world. The gun represents power, control, agency. But when John tries to shoot the strange man, the gun fails. This failure represents the limits of violence, the boundaries of what force can achieve. There are some problems that cannot be solved by shooting them. There are some forces that cannot be controlled through violence. There are some truths that cannot be escaped no matter how fast you can draw your gun. The strange man represents all of these things, the limits of power, the inevitability of consequences, the inescapability of moral accountability. The gun jamming on the 4th shot is also a moment of mercy, though John does not recognize it as such. If the gun had fired, if John had been able to shoot at the strange man a 4th time, it would have added another sin to John's account, another act of violence, another attempt to solve a problem through killing. The gun jams because John has already fired 3 shots, 1 for each person who will die at Beecher's Hope. The 4th shot, which would represent Jack, does not fire because Jack will survive. The gun is telling John that his violence has already claimed enough victims, that the cycle must end, that Jack must be spared. But John does not understand this message. He sees the gun jamming as a malfunction, a failure of his most reliable tool. He does not recognize it as a warning, a sign that his approach to life has reached its limits, is that violence will not save him from what is coming. This failure to understand is itself part of John's tragedy. He's being given signs, warnings, opportunities to change, but he does not recognize them for what they are. He continues down the same path, using the same methods, making the same mistakes, until finally the consequences catch up with him. When Red Dead Redemption 2 was released in 2018, players hoped for more answers about the strange man. What they found instead was more mystery. The strange man does not appear directly in RDR2's story, but his presence is felt throughout the game, and nowhere more powerfully than in a small cabin at Bayol Edge, in the swamps of Lemoyne. This cabin is abandoned, isolated, surrounded by murky water and twisted trees. Beneath it, players can find a cage containing a dead alligator. In dream symbolism, a dead alligator that you did not kill represents massive change coming to your life. For John Marston, his transformation from outlaw to family man. For Arthur Morgan, his redemption arc as he faces his own mortality. The cage suggests captivity, imprisonment, something that was once free but is now trapped, perhaps representing the souls the strange man watches over. People trapped by their own choices, by their own sins, by the consequences of their actions. Inside the cabin, an unfinished painting sits on an easel. Behind it are two other paintings that change based on your honor level. High honor shows an eagle and a deer, noble animals, symbols of freedom and grace. Low honor shows a wolf and a vulture, predators and scavengers, symbols of violence and death. This is the strange man's method made visual. He is watching you, creating a portrait of who you truly are based not on what you say about yourself, but on what your actions reveal about your character. The paintings are a moral mirror, showing you the truth of your soul. And this truth cannot be hidden or denied. The strange man sees everything you do, every choice you make, every person you help or harm. Scattered throughout the cabin are cryptic messages. From the snow to the cave, the arc of RDR2's story from Coulter to Beaver Hollow, from hope to despair, from the clean white snow of the mountains to the dark cave where everything falls apart. The strange man knows the entire trajectory. He has seen it all before it happens. I gave everything for art, and I learned too much and nothing at all. The strange man observes everything, learns everything about you, but cannot understand why humans make the choices they make. He knows what people do, but not why they do it. He has learned every detail of human behavior, but human nature remains a mystery even to a supernatural being. This suggests the strange man, despite his power, is fundamentally alien to humanity, unable to truly comprehend the motivations and emotions that drive us. The water is black with venom, the corruption that seeps into human souls, the poison of sin and hatred. Water should be clear and life-giving, but it has been corrupted, turned black, filled with venom. His final toll will sound my greatest coming. Someone's death will herald the strange man's most significant appearance. A toll is a bell that rings to mark deaths, warnings, calls to action. This likely refers to John Marston's death at the end of Red Dead Redemption, the final accounting of John's life, and most tellingly, I Know You, the title of the Stranger mission chain from the first game, confirming this cabin belongs to the strange man. The most unsettling message, the moon will shine on in the darkness. This becomes significant when we examine the Curse of Armadillo. If you visit the cabin multiple times, the unfinished painting gradually completes. With each visit, more details are filled in. Eventually, it reveals the face of the strange man himself, rendered in perfect detail. When you examine it as John Marston, he writes, This place made me feel like I was being watched. Queerest feeling I ever felt. And John is right, because if you look into the mirror on the wall, you will see the strange man standing behind you, reflected in the glass. But if you turn around, he vanishes. He exists only in the reflection, only in the space between reality and something else. This moment reveals a profound truth. The strange man is always behind you. You cannot see him directly, but he is there, in the reflections, in the shadows, and no matter how quickly you turn, you will never catch him. Mirrors show truth. They show things as they really are. When you look in the mirror and see the strange man behind you, you are seeing the truth of your own moral state. This strange man is the accumulation of your choices, the record of your actions, the account of your life. You cannot escape him because you cannot escape yourself. But here is the twist. The completed painting is not a portrait of you. It is a portrait of the strange man. This reveals that when he judges you, he is holding up a mirror. The strange man you see is the strange man you've created through your actions. He is not imposing judgment from outside. He is revealing the judgment you've imposed upon yourself through your choices. In the epilogue, when you visit Armadillo as John Marston, you find a town ravaged by cholera. Bodies burn in mass graves. The streets are empty except for the sick and dying. A vagrant tells you about Armadillo's history of suffering: scarlet fever, desert plague, typhus, now cholera. Disease after disease. Some say the town is cursed, and witnesses have reported seeing a figure in the distance. A man in a black suit and top hat who appears and vanishes like smoke. The vagrant calls him the Reaper in his Sunday best. The answer to this curse lies with Herbert Moon, the general store owner. Herbert is one of the few people untouched by the cholera. While everyone around him sickens and dies, Herbert remains healthy. On his shelf sits a small portrait, a portrait of the strange man. In the cabin at Bayall Edge, there is a map of Armadillo with a message. I offered you happiness or 2 generations. You made your choice. If you loot Herbert Moon's body, you find a letter from his daughter. She begs him not to cut her off, pleading with him to accept her marriage to Isaac, a Jewish man. But Herbert has disowned her. Herbert Moon hates everyone. Jews, Catholics, black people, Native Americans, women, foreigners, anyone who does not fit his narrow definition of acceptable. His daughter tells him she's pregnant, that he will have a grandchild, begging him to be part of their lives. She and her husband are dedicating themselves to helping the poor, to doing good in the world. But Herbert refuses. He chooses his bigotry over his daughter, his hatred over his grandchild, his pride over his happiness. This is the choice the strange man offered: happiness or 2 generations. Happiness would mean accepting his daughter's marriage, letting go of hatred, embracing family. 2 generations would mean living through his own life and his daughter's life, but separated, alone, surrounded by the consequences of his choice. Herbert chose 2 generations. He chose to cling to his hatred rather than embrace love. And now Herbert pays the price. He survives the cholera while everyone around him dies. But his survival is not a blessing. It is a curse. He must watch as his town crumbles, as his neighbours are buried in mass graves, as everything he knew dies. He's protected by his bargain, but that protection is a prison. He cannot die, cannot escape, cannot do anything but continue existing in a town of corpses, alone with his hatred and his regret. The moon will shine on in the darkness. Herbert Moon will continue to exist even as darkness consumes everything around him. The moon will shine on, but it provides no warmth, no real light, no hope. Herbert's survival is cold comfort. He continues to exist, but he does not truly live. The strange man's role in this curse is ambiguous. Did he cause the cholera outbreak as punishment? Or is he simply observing the natural consequences of Herbert's actions? The evidence suggests both. When you choose hatred over love, when you reject your family and isolate yourself, you create your own hell. The strange man does not need to punish Herbert. Herbert is punishing himself. The strange man simply ensures that consequences follow actions, that choices have meaning, that you cannot escape the results of your own decisions. This reveals something crucial about the strange man's nature. He is not simply a punisher or a rewarder. He is a force that ensures consequences follow actions. If you choose hatred, you will live in a world of hatred. If you choose violence, you will die by violence. If you choose love and redemption, you may find peace. The strange man does not create these consequences. He simply ensures that they occur, that the accounts are balanced. There is also the encounter with Jimmy Brooks in RDR2. Jimmy recognizes Arthur Morgan in Valentine, claiming to have seen him in Blackwater during the ferry robbery. Arthur chases him down. Jimmy ends up hanging from a cliff, begging for help, swearing he will never tell anyone what he saw. Arthur has a choice: save Jimmy or let him fall. This encounter is recorded in the strange man's cabin in verse. If you saved Jimmy, there was a man called Jimmy Brooks who was always running into crooks till one chased him down and he had to talk his way around. That Jimmy isn't as dumb as he looks. If you killed him, there was a man called Jimmy Brooks who was always running into crooks, but the man from the ferry found him far too contrary. Now Jimmy's family don't see him very much. The strange man has recorded this choice. He immortalized it in verse, added it to the account he's keeping of Arthur's soul. But why is this encounter so significant? Because Jimmy Brooks is a test of mercy at a crucial moment in Arthur's story. Arthur is beginning to question his life, beginning to see that the gang is falling apart, beginning to understand that he needs to change. If Arthur saves Jimmy, it shows Arthur is capable of mercy, that he can value human life even when it would be easier to kill. It shows Arthur's transformation is real, that he's becoming a better person. If Arthur kills Jimmy, it shows Arthur is still prioritizing his own safety over the lives of others, that he has not yet begun his journey toward redemption. Some players theorize Jimmy might not be real at all, though he interacts with the physical world. He gives Arthur a pen, and the poem references his family. Whether Jimmy is real or supernatural, his purpose is clear. He is a moral test, a way for the strange man to measure Arthur's character at a crucial moment. The poem is not just creative flourish, it is an entry in the ledger, a permanent record of Arthur's choice. The strange man's interest in both Arthur Morgan and John Marston suggests he's tracking the Van der Linde gang as a whole, watching how their choices lead to their eventual destruction. From the Snow to the Cave encompasses the entire story of RDR2. The strange man has seen this story before it happens. He knows how it will end. He's watching to see how each individual navigates this journey, what choices they make, what kind of person they become. Arthur Morgan's story is particularly significant because it is a story of redemption. Here Arthur starts as a killer who does Dutch's dirty work without question. But when Arthur is diagnosed with tuberculosis, when he is forced to confront his own mortality, he begins to change. He starts helping people. He starts questioning Dutch. He starts trying to do some good before his time runs out. The strange man is watching this transformation. The paintings in his cabin that change based on honour are tracking Arthur's moral progress. Is Arthur moving toward redemption or toward damnation? Is he adding credits to his account or accumulating more debts? The strange man is keeping careful track, because Arthur's final account will determine his final judgment. Blind man Cassidy, a fortune teller in St. Denis, speaks of two strangers seeking Arthur. One from this world, perhaps, one from another. One brings hatred. I'm not so sure what the other brings. The stranger from this world is Edgar Ross, the Pinkerton agent who will eventually hunt down and kill John Marston, but the stranger from another world, whose intentions cannot be seen even by a fortune teller, is the strange man. His motivations are obscured even from those with supernatural sight. He exists beyond normal understanding. So who is the strange man? The game never provides a definitive answer, but three major theories have emerged, each supported by compelling evidence. The first theory, the strange man is death itself, the Grim Reaper in a black suit instead of a black robe. He calls himself an accountant, a term often used as a euphemism for death, who keeps account of souls and determines when each person's time has come. And he appears before people die, before John Marston's death, in Armadillo where death is everywhere, in the cabin where he watches Arthur Morgan as tuberculosis slowly kills him. He cannot be killed. You cannot kill death because death is not alive. Death simply is, eternal and inevitable. He marks the ground where John will be buried, arriving before the end to prepare the way. The three shots that do nothing represent the three people who will die at Beecher's Hope. The fourth shot that jams represents Jack, who will survive. Death knows who will die and who will live. The second theory, the strange man is God. Not a god, but God, the supreme being, the creator, the judge of all souls. He knows everything, the past, present and future. He knows about Heidi McCourt and the Blackwater massacre. He knows what will happen before it happens. This level of knowledge suggests not just supernatural awareness, but divine omniscience. He tests people's morality, presenting choices and allowing free will, consistent with the Judeo-Christian concept of God, giving humans the freedom to choose between good and evil and then holding them accountable. When John says, "Damn you," and the strange man responds, "Yes, many have," this echoes people cursing God throughout history. Herbert Moon's portrait suggests a twisted form of worship. Herbert's God is the strange man, though Herbert has misunderstood what his God wants from him. The third theory, the strange man is the devil. His character model is labelled Mysterious Stranger, possibly referencing Mark Twain's novel where Satan appears as an enigmatic figure questioning human morality and exposing human hypocrisy. Herbert Moon's deal resembles a Faustian bargain. He asked for something and got it, but at a terrible price. The devil is known for granting wishes in ways that twist the intent, for giving people exactly what they ask for while ensuring they regret it. The cholera outbreak could be demonic punishment. The devil tests and tempts, presenting opportunities to sin, measuring souls to determine who is worthy of damnation. In 2024, Dan Houser, one of the writers of Red Dead Redemption, finally spoke about the strange man. He described the character as a manifestation of your shadow, your karma, the devil. This confirms the character was meant to represent multiple concepts simultaneously. Your shadow, in Jungian psychology, the part of yourself that you do not acknowledge, the aspects of your personality that you repress or deny. The strange man represents the part of John Marston that John does not want to face. The killer, the outlaw, the man who has done terrible things and cannot escape the consequences. Your karma, the force that ensures actions have consequences, that what you do in this life affects what happens to you. The strange man ensures John's violent past leads to his violent death, that Arthur's choices determine whether he finds redemption or damnation. The devil, the tempter, the accuser, the being who tests human souls and punishes the wicked. The strange man actively works to expose human sin, to test human morality, to ensure the guilty are punished. But perhaps the most accurate interpretation is that the strange man is all of these things simultaneously. He is your shadow because he reflects your true nature. He is your karma because he ensures your actions have consequences. He is the devil because he tests and judges and punishes. And he is also death because he appears before the end. And he is also God because he is omniscient and omnipresent and eternal. The strange man transcends simple categorization because he represents something fundamental about the human condition. The knowledge that we are being watched, that we are being judged, that we are responsible for our choices, that consequences are real and unavoidable. This multiplicity of meaning is what makes the strange man so effective as a narrative device. He is not limited to a single interpretation. He is whatever the story needs him to be at any given moment. When John Marston faces him at Beecher's Hope, the strange man is death, marking the spot where John will fall. When Herbert Moon makes his terrible choice, the strange man is the devil, offering a bargain that will damn the one who accepts it. When Arthur Morgan's choices are recorded in verse, the strange man is karma, ensuring that actions have consequences, and throughout all of this he is also God, omniscient and omnipresent, watching everything, knowing everything, judging everything. The genius of this ambiguity is that it allows each player to interpret the strange man according to their own worldview, their own beliefs, their own understanding of morality and justice. A religious player might see him as an agent of divine judgment. An atheist might see him as a personification of conscience or consequence. A philosopher might see him as the embodiment of existential responsibility. The strange man works for all of these interpretations because he is designed to be all of these things simultaneously. This also explains why the strange man never explains himself, never reveals his true nature, never answers the questions that John asks. To explain would be to limit, to reveal would be to reduce. The strange man's power comes from his mystery, from the fact that we do not know exactly what he is or what he wants. This uncertainty keeps us off balance, keeps us thinking, keeps us questioning. And in that questioning we engage more deeply with the moral themes of the story. The strange man also serves as a mirror for the player's own moral philosophy. How you interpret the strange man reveals something about how you understand morality, justice, and accountability. If you see him as cruel for allowing Herbert Moon to suffer, that reveals your belief that mercy should sometimes override justice. If you see him as fair for holding people accountable for their choices, that reveals your belief in personal responsibility and the importance of consequences. The strange man does not impose a moral framework. He reveals the moral framework that you already hold. This is why discussions about the strange man can become so passionate, so intense. People are not just debating a video game character. They are debating fundamental questions about morality, free will, justice, and the nature of good and evil. The strange man forces these questions to the surface, makes them impossible to ignore. He is a catalyst for moral reflection, yet a character who makes players think about what they believe and why they believe it. The strange man's relationship with time is another crucial aspect of his character that deserves deeper examination. He exists outside of linear time, able to see past, present, and future as a single unified whole. This temporal omniscience is what allows him to mark John's grave before John dies, to know about events that have not yet occurred, to speak with certainty about things that are still in the future. But this raises profound philosophical questions. If the strange man can see the future, does that mean the future is fixed? Are John's choices meaningless if the strange man already knows what John will choose? Is free will an illusion if someone can predict with perfect accuracy what you will do? No, the answer lies in understanding the difference between knowledge and causation. The strange man knows what will happen, but he does not cause it to happen. He's like someone reading a book for the second time. He knows how the story ends, but the characters in the story are still making their choices, still living their lives, still responsible for their actions. The strange man's knowledge of the future does not rob the characters of their agency. It simply means he has already seen the consequences of the choices they will make. This is consistent with certain theological concepts of divine foreknowledge. In some religious traditions, God knows everything that will happen, but humans still have free will because God's knowledge does not cause human actions. God knows what you will choose, but you are still the one making the choice. The strange man operates according to this same principle. He knows what you will do, but you're still responsible for doing it. This temporal omniscience also explains the strange man's patience, his calmness, his lack of urgency. When you can see all of time at once, when you know how every story ends, there is no need to rush, no need to force outcomes, no need to intervene. The strange man can afford to be patient because he knows that everything will unfold exactly as it is meant to unfold. He does not need to manipulate events because he has already seen that the natural consequences of people's choices will lead to the outcomes he expects. This patience is both comforting and terrifying. It is comforting because it suggests a kind of cosmic order, a sense that everything happens for a reason, that there is meaning and purpose to the events of our lives. But it is also terrifying because it suggests that our fates are sealed, that the strange man has already seen how our stories end, that we are moving inexorably toward conclusions that have already been written. The strange man's presence in both Red Dead Redemption games also creates a narrative bridge between the two stories, connecting them in ways that go beyond simple chronology. The strange man who tests John Marston in 1911 is the same being who watches Arthur Morgan in 1899. He's been observing the Van der Linde gang for years, watching as their choices lead them toward their inevitable destruction. This long-term observation suggests that the strange man is not interested in isolated moments, but in the arc of entire lives. In the patterns that emerge over years and decades. He is tracking not just individual choices, but the trajectory of a person's character, the direction they are moving, whether they are becoming better or worse over time. This is why the strange man's tests are so carefully chosen. He is not testing random aspects of character. He's testing the specific qualities that will determine whether someone is moving toward redemption or damnation. For John Marston, the tests focus on whether John has learned anything from his violent past, whether he has developed any moral principles that might balance his crimes. For Arthur Morgan, the strange man watches to see whether Arthur's transformation is genuine, whether Arthur's attempts at redemption are real or merely self-serving. The strange man's cabin in the swamp serves as his archive, his record-keeping office where he stores the evidence he has gathered. The paintings that change based on honour are visual representations of the moral accounts he is keeping. The messages on the walls are notes to himself, reminders of important events and significant choices. The unfinished painting that gradually completes is his ongoing work, his process of creating a complete record before the final judgment. This archival function is crucial to understanding the strange man's role. He's not just observing, he is documenting. He's creating a permanent record that will be used when the time comes to render judgment. This is why nothing is forgotten, why every choice matters, why even small actions are recorded. The strange man is building a case, gathering evidence, ensuring that when the final accounting occurs, it will be based on complete and accurate information. The fact that this archive exists in a swamp is symbolically perfect. Swamps are places where things are preserved, where organic matter does not decay but is instead suspended in time, held in stasis by the water and the mud. The strange man's cabin in the swamp is where the moral record of people's lives is preserved, where nothing is lost or forgotten, where every action remains recorded for eternity. The strange man's influence extends beyond the individual characters to the world itself. His bargain with Herbert Moon has cursed an entire town. His presence in the swamp affects anyone who visits the cabin. His tests of John Marston have consequences that ripple out to affect John's family and everyone John encounters. The strange man is not just judging individuals, he is shaping the moral landscape of the entire Red Dead universe. This suggests that the strange man's power is not limited to observation and judgment. He can also act, can make bargains, can curse towns, can influence events. He is not a passive observer, but an active participant in the world, using his power to ensure that moral laws are enforced, that consequences follow actions, that justice, in whatever form it takes, is served. But the strange man's power operates within certain constraints, certain rules that even he must follow. He cannot force people to make particular choices. He cannot prevent people from sinning. He cannot save people from the consequences of their own actions. His power is the power to observe, to record, to judge, and to ensure that consequences follow actions. He is powerful, but his power operates within a system, following rules, serving a purpose that is larger than himself. These constraints suggest that the strange man is not the ultimate power in the Red Dead universe. He is a powerful being, perhaps the most powerful being we encounter, but he is still operating within a system, following rules, serving a purpose. He is the accountant, but someone or something else is the owner of the accounts. He is the judge, but someone or something else has established the laws he enforces. This raises the question, who or what is above the strange man? Is there a higher power that the strange man serves? Is there a cosmic order that even the strange man must obey? The games do not answer these questions, but they hint that the strange man, for all his power and knowledge, is not the final authority. He is an agent of something larger, a servant of some cosmic principle or divine will. The community's response to the strange man over the years has been extraordinary. Players have created elaborate theories, analysed every detail of his appearances, debated his identity and motivations for over a decade. The strange man has inspired countless videos, articles, discussions, and debates. He has become one of the most iconic characters in gaming, not because of what he does, but because of what he represents. This cultural impact is a testament to the power of mystery, of ambiguity, of leaving questions unanswered. The strange man is effective precisely because we do not know who he is, because the games never explain him, because he remains mysterious and unknowable. If Rockstar had provided a definitive answer, the strange man is death, or the strange man is God, the character would be less interesting, less impactful, less memorable. By leaving the strange man unexplained, by allowing the mystery to remain mysterious, Rockstar created a character that players can interpret according to their own beliefs and experiences. If you believe in God, you can see the strange man as God. If you believe in karma, you can see him as karma. If you believe in death as a force, you can see him as death. The strange man is whatever you need him to be to make sense of the story, and that flexibility is what makes him so powerful. The strange man also represents Rockstar's confidence in their audience. They trust players to engage with ambiguity, to think about complex moral questions, thus to find their own meaning in the story. They do not feel the need to explain everything, to tie up every loose end, to ensure that everyone understands exactly what is happening. They are willing to leave mysteries unsolved, to allow players to draw their own conclusions, to trust that the ambiguity will enhance rather than diminish the experience. This confidence is rare in modern gaming, where most games feel compelled to explain everything, to ensure that players are never confused, to provide clear answers to every question. The strange man is a reminder that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that trust their audience, that leave room for interpretation, that allow mystery to exist. The strange man's moral framework is complex. He gives people freedom to choose, which could be seen as good. He respects human agency, but he also ensures that consequences follow actions, which can seem cruel. People suffer for their choices, and he does not intervene to prevent that suffering. This approach is consistent with certain theological traditions, where God gives humans free will, and then allows them to experience the natural consequences of their choices. But this raises difficult questions. Is it moral to give someone a choice when you know they will choose wrong? Is it moral to allow someone to suffer the consequences when you have the power to prevent that suffering? The strange man has the power to force Herbert Moon to choose happiness, to prevent the curse on Armadillo, to save the people dying of cholera. But he does not. He allows Herbert's choice to stand, and he allows the consequences to unfold. This could be seen as cruel, but it could also be seen as the ultimate respect for human agency. The strange man is saying that your choices matter, that you are responsible for your decisions, that you cannot blame external forces for the consequences of your own actions. Herbert Moon chose hatred over love. The strange man did not make that choice for him. Herbert must live with the consequences. This approach makes the strange man neither purely good nor purely evil. He is something more complex, a force that ensures moral accountability, that respects human freedom, while also ensuring that freedom has consequences. He is the embodiment of the principle that actions matter, that choices have weight, that we are all responsible for what we do. The strange man's influence on player behaviour is remarkable. Many players report that knowing about the strange man, knowing that their choices are being recorded, changes how they play the game. They make different decisions, they help people they might otherwise ignore, they show mercy when they might otherwise kill, they try to be honourable because they know the strange man is watching. This is extraordinary because the strange man barely appears in the games. In RDR1, He appears 3 times in optional side missions. In RDR2, he never appears directly at all. And yet his presence is felt throughout both games, influencing how players think about their choices. He has become a genuine moral force within the game world, not by telling players what to do, but by making them aware that they are being watched, that their choices are being recorded, that there will be an accounting. This phenomenon reveals something profound about human psychology and morality. We behave differently when we believe we're being observed. Studies in psychology have consistently shown that people act more ethically, more generously, more honestly when they believe someone is watching, even if that someone is just a picture of eyes on a wall. The Strange Man taps into this deep psychological truth. His presence in the game world, even when he is not physically present, creates a sense of being observed that influences player behavior. This is the panopticon effect applied to video game morality. The panopticon, a prison design conceived by philosopher Jeremy Bentham, features a central watchtower from which all prisoners can be observed without knowing when they're being watched. The uncertainty of observation creates a form of self-regulation. Prisoners behave as if they are always being watched because they might be watched at any moment. The Strange Man creates this same effect in Red Dead Redemption. Players behave as if the Strange Man is always watching because he might be watching, because he has demonstrated that he sees everything, because he will eventually call them to account. But the Strange Man's influence goes deeper than simple behavioural modification. He does not just make players act differently, he makes them think differently about their actions. Players begin to consider the moral weight of their choices, to think about consequences, to ask themselves whether what they are about to do is right or wrong. The Strange Man transforms the game from a simple power fantasy into a moral laboratory where players can explore ethical questions in a safe environment. This transformation is remarkable because it happens organically, without the game explicitly telling players to think about morality. The Strange Man never lectures, never moralizes, never tells players what they should do. He simply exists, watches, and records, and that is enough. His mere presence is sufficient to make players engage with moral questions that they might otherwise ignore. The Strange Man also creates a sense of narrative weight and consequence that elevates the entire Red Dead experience. In many open-world games, player choices feel arbitrary, disconnected from the larger story. You can be a hero in one mission and a villain in the next. And the game does not seem to care. But the Strange Man changes this. He makes every choice feel significant, every action feel consequential. He creates a sense that your choices are building towards something, that there will be a reckoning, that your actions matter in ways that extend beyond immediate gameplay rewards. This sense of consequence is crucial to the emotional impact of Red Dead Redemption's story. When John Marston dies at the end of the first game, it feels inevitable, earned, tragic, but just. The Strange Man has prepared us for this moment. He has shown us that John's past will catch up with him, that debts must be paid, that consequences are real. John's death is not a random tragedy. It is the culmination of everything the Strange Man has been tracking, the final entry in the account he has been keeping. Similarly, Arthur Morgan's redemption arc in RDR2 carries emotional weight because we know the Strange Man is watching, recording, judging. Arthur's attempts to do good before he dies matter because they are being added to his moral account. Whether Arthur achieves redemption or dies in sin depends on the choices the player makes, and those choices feel meaningful because the strange man has established that choices have consequences, that moral accounts are real, that judgment is coming. This strange man's influence on the Red Dead community has also been profound. He has inspired a level of analysis and discussion that few video game characters achieve. Players have spent countless hours examining every detail of his appearances, every word of his dialogue, every symbol in his cabin. They have created elaborate theories, written lengthy essays, produced detailed videos analysing his significance. The strange man has become a subject of serious academic and critical discussion, treated with the same level of analysis typically reserved for characters in literature or film. This level of engagement speaks to the depth and complexity of the character. The strange man rewards close analysis. There are layers of meaning to uncover, symbols to decode, connections to discover. The more you examine the strange man, the more you find. This depth is rare in video game characters, who are often designed to be immediately understandable, their motivations clear, their roles in the story obvious. The strange man is the opposite. He's designed to be mysterious, ambiguous, open to interpretation. And this ambiguity has made him more memorable, more impactful, more enduring than most video game characters who are more clearly defined. The strange man has also influenced how other games approach morality and choice. After Red Dead Redemption, more games began to experiment with ambiguous moral systems, with consequences that are not immediately clear, with characters who judge the player without explicitly telling them what to do. The strange man demonstrated that players are capable of engaging with complex moral questions, that they do not need to be told explicitly what is right and wrong, that ambiguity and mystery can enhance, rather than diminish, the moral impact of a story. The strange man's legacy extends beyond gaming into broader cultural discussions about morality, free will, and accountability. He has become a reference point in discussions about how stories can explore ethical questions, how characters can embody philosophical concepts, how ambiguity can be more powerful than clarity. The strange man is studied in game design courses, analysed in academic papers, referenced in discussions about narrative and character development. He has transcended his origins as a video game character to become a cultural touchstone, a symbol of how interactive media can explore profound themes in ways that other media cannot. The strange man's literary and cultural origins run deep, drawing from centuries of storytelling tradition. His most direct literary ancestor is Mark Twain's The Mysterious Stranger, a dark philosophical novel written near the end of Twain's life. In that story, Satan appears as a charming, yet enigmatic figure who demonstrates the futility of human morality and the predetermined nature of existence. Like Twain's Satan, the strange man questions human moral frameworks, exposes hypocrisy, and suggests that free will might be an illusion. The parallels are striking. Both characters appear without warning. Both know things they should not know. Both test the moral fibre of those they encounter, and both leave their subjects questioning the nature of reality itself. But the strange man also draws from biblical tradition, particularly the figure of Satan in the book of Job. In that ancient text, Satan is not the ruler of hell, but rather the accuser, a member of God's court whose role is to test human faith and virtue. Satan challenges God's assessment of Job's righteousness, arguing that Job is only faithful because he's been blessed with wealth and family. God allows Satan to test Job, to take away everything he has, to see if Job's faith will endure. The strange man operates according to this same principle. He is the accuser, the tester, the one who challenges claims of virtue by creating situations where that virtue must be demonstrated under pressure. This biblical parallel is crucial because it reframes the strange man not as evil, but as necessary. In the book of Job, Satan serves a divine purpose. His testing reveals truth, separates genuine virtue from mere convenience, ensures that faith is real rather than transactional. The strange man performs this same function in Red Dead Redemption. He tests John Marston not to damn him, but to reveal the truth of John's character. Yeah, he watches Arthur Morgan not to punish him, but to determine whether Arthur's redemption is genuine. The strange man is the accuser, but accusation is not the same as condemnation. It is the process by which truth is revealed. The strange man also echoes figures from Western cinema, particularly Clint Eastwood's character in High Plains Drifter. In that film, a mysterious stranger arrives in a town, knows things about the townspeople's past sins, and ultimately brings judgment upon them. The stranger is implied to be either a ghost seeking revenge or death itself, come to settle accounts. The parallels to the strange man are obvious: the mysterious arrival, the impossible knowledge, the role as judge and executioner. Rockstar has always been influenced by Western cinema, and the strange man is their version of the avenging angel. Yeah, the figure who appears when debts must be paid. Beyond Western tradition, the strange man resonates with figures from global mythology and folklore. In voodoo tradition, Papa Legba is the guardian of the crossroads, the intermediary between the mortal world and the spirit world, the one who must be consulted before any communication with the divine can occur. The strange man appears at crossroads in people's lives, moments of moral choice, points where one path leads to redemption and another to damnation. Like Papa Legba, he is the gatekeeper, the one who determines whether you may pass. In Norse mythology, Odin often appears as a wanderer, an old man in a cloak and hat who tests heroes and dispenses wisdom. The strange man's top hat and formal attire serve the same function as Odin's disguise. They mark him as someone from elsewhere, someone who does not belong to the ordinary world. And like Odin, the strange man is gathering information, building knowledge, preparing for some final reckoning that only he can see. These literary and mythological connections reveal that the strange man is not a new creation, but rather a new iteration of an archetype that has existed across cultures and throughout history. The figure who tests, who judges, who keeps account, who ensures that moral laws are enforced. Every culture has some version of this figure because every culture recognizes the need for moral accountability, for some force that ensures actions have consequences. The strange man's influence on player behavior reveals something profound about human psychology and the nature of moral decision-making. The phenomenon is best understood through the concept of the panopticon, a prison design conceived by philosopher Jeremy Bentham in the late 18th century. The panopticon features a central watchtower from which all prisoners can be observed, but the prisoners cannot see into the tower. They never know when they're being watched, so they must behave as if they are always being watched. This uncertainty creates a form of self-regulation. The prisoners internalize the gaze of the observer and begin to police their own behavior. The strange man creates this same panopticon effect in Red Dead Redemption. Players know he exists, know he is watching, know he is keeping account, but they do not know when he is watching or what specific actions he is recording. This uncertainty creates a sense of constant observation that influences behaviour even when the strange man is not physically present. Players begin to self-regulate, to consider the moral implications of their choices, to act as if they are always being judged because they might be judged at any moment. This is a profound achievement in game design. Most games try to influence player behaviour through explicit reward and punishment systems. You gain points for good actions, lose points for bad actions. But these systems are transparent and easily gamed. Players learn to exploit them, to maximise rewards while minimising consequences. The strange man is different. He does not tell you what he is recording or how he will judge you. He simply exists, watches, and waits, and this ambiguity makes him far more effective at influencing behaviour than any explicit moral system could be. The panopticon effect also explains why the strange man's influence persists, even after players have completed the game. Once you know the strange man exists, once you understand that your choices are being recorded, you cannot unknow it. Every subsequent playthrough is coloured by this knowledge. You make different choices, try different approaches, experiment with different moral frameworks. The strange man has fundamentally changed how you engage with the game, not through force but through awareness. You have internalised his gaze, and now you carry it with you. This raises fascinating questions about the relationship between player and game, between freedom and observation, between choice and determinism. In one sense, the strange man represents the ultimate constraint on player freedom. You're being watched, judged, held accountable. But in another sense, he represents the ultimate validation of player freedom. Your choices matter precisely because someone is watching, because they are being recorded, because they will have consequences. The strange man does not take away your freedom. He makes your freedom meaningful. There is also a meta-narrative dimension to the strange man that deserves consideration. In some sense, the strange man is a developer avatar, a representation of Rockstar Games itself watching players engage with their creation. Dan Houser and the writing team created this world, populated it with characters, established its moral framework. They are watching how players interact with their creation, what choices players make, yeah, how players respond to the moral dilemmas presented. This strange man is their representative within the game world, the character who embodies their role as observers and judges of player behaviour. This interpretation adds another layer to the strange man's statement that he is an accountant of sorts. He is keeping account not just of John Marston's sins but of the player's choices, recording data about how people engage with moral systems in games, gathering evidence about human nature and moral decision-making. Every choice you make is data, every action is recorded, every playthrough adds to the account. The strange man is watching not just the characters but the players, and through the players, he is watching humanity itself. This meta-narrative reading also explains the strange man's omniscience. He knows what will happen because the developers wrote what will happen. He knows about Heidi McCourt because the developers created Heidi McCourt. He knows where John will be buried because the developers designed that location. The strange man's knowledge is the knowledge of the creator, and his judgment is the judgment of the artist evaluating their own work and the audience's response to it. And so, the strange man remains what he has always been. A mystery, an enigma, a force that exists beyond our understanding. He is death, marking those whose time is near. He is God, testing our morality and keeping account of our souls. He is the devil, making bargains and ensuring that consequences follow actions. He is all of these things and none of them, a being that transcends simple categorization, that exists in the spaces between, that watches from the shadows and the reflections. The strange man's legacy in gaming culture is secure. He has become one of the most iconic and discussed characters in video game history, despite his limited screen time. This impact is a testament to the power of mystery, of ambiguity, of leaving questions unanswered. The strange man is effective precisely because we do not know who he is, because the games never explain him, because he remains mysterious and unknowable. By leaving the strange man unexplained, Rockstar created a character that players can interpret according to their own beliefs and experiences. If you believe in God, you can see him as God. If you believe in karma, you can see him as karma. If you believe in death as a force, you can see him as death. The strange man is whatever you need him to be to make sense of the story, and that flexibility is what makes him so powerful. The strange man also represents Rockstar's confidence in their audience. They trust players to engage with ambiguity, to think about complex moral questions, to find their own meaning. They do not feel the need to explain everything. They are willing to leave mysteries unsolved, to allow players to draw their own conclusions, to trust that the ambiguity will enhance rather than diminish the experience. And so the strange man remains what he has always been, a mystery, an enigma, a force that exists beyond our understanding. He is death, marking those whose time is near. He is God, testing our morality. He is the devil, making bargains and ensuring consequences. He is all of these things and none of them. A being that transcends simple categorization, that exists in the spaces between, that watches from the shadows and the reflections. The strange man's legacy will endure as long as people play Red Dead Redemption. He has become more than just a character in a video game. He has become a symbol, an archetype, a representation of the forces that govern our lives and hold us accountable for our choices. He is the reminder that we are always being watched, always being judged, always being held responsible for who we are and what we do. And perhaps that is the most important lesson the strange man teaches us. Not that there is a literal supernatural being watching our every move, but that we should live as if there is. We should make choices as if they matter, as if they are being recorded, as if we will one day have to account for everything we have done. We should treat every action as significant, every choice as meaningful, every moment as an opportunity to add credits or debts to our moral account. The strange man is watching. Whether he is real or metaphorical, whether he is death or God or the devil or simply our own conscience, he is watching. And when our time comes, when our story reaches its end, we will have to face the accounting. We will have to look at the record of our lives and accept responsibility for who we became and what we did. This is the mystery of the strange man. This is the lesson he teaches. This is the truth he represents. We are all being held accountable. Our choices matter. Our actions have consequences. And when the time comes, we will all stand in that fine spot, wherever it may be, and face the judgment we have earned through the accumulation of our choices. The strange man knows you. He has always known you, and he is waiting.